It began with a phone call, and when Tessa didn't want to explain, her voice was quiet, but desperate, excessively so. "Mom wants us to come over. It's important," she added. That alone should have elicited obedience. I was slumped over a dejected sandwich at work midway through my lunch break, when the call came through. What I wanted was to spend another evening at the Crosswell estate, being escorted around like a distinguished intern. When I asked her what the family drama festival was about, she hesitated. But I assumed it had to do with the family's finances, something so basic, yet it reverberated throughout the day. By the time I left work and made the 40-minute drive, I already had a headache, not from the distance, but from what awaited at Miriam and Frank's house. It wasn't the drive. It was the weight that house carried. It felt like too many scented candles were closing in on me. Too many eyes were feigning warmth, and too many were looking for cracks. I parked, took a deep breath, and felt as though I was stepping into a trap, one designed to serve or derive. Tessa's brother Milo nodded to me as I ascended the brick steps. The door opened before I could knock. He hardly moved from the doorway. "Hello," I said. "You're late," he replied. I had to turn sideways to squeeze past him. Inside, everyone was seated. Frank took his usual place by the fireplace. Gavin tapped, a pen against a yellow notepad, like a man pretending to take notes at a meeting no one was conducting. Tessa sat next to her mother on the long white sofa, slouching on the love seat, phone in hand, her eyes barely lifted. Miriam looked up at me with the calm control of someone executing the final move in a game of chess, her back straight, legs crossed at the ankle. "There he is," she murmured, folding her hands. "Come sit. Let's not waste time." It was then that I realized this wasn't about a wedding or a retirement party. I sat gently. Tessa patted the cushion next to her like she was helping a child onto the furniture. Nobody smiled. The room was quiet, like a boardroom just before layoffs. Miriam straightened her cardigan and gave me a tight smile without fully opening her eyes. "Jared, your family," she began, her tone sickly sweet. I blinked. "The syrup had been left out too long. We all contribute to this family," she said, nodding toward everyone. "We've gone over some figures, and we think it's reasonable that you put half of your income toward supporting the household." At first, I thought I misheard her. I looked at Tessa, waiting for the laugh, the punchline, something, but she nodded. No hesitation. Milo broke the silence. "It's only fair, man. We're a unit." Frank, finally raising his head, added, "It's not forever, just until the big stuff's handled. Elise's tuition, Tahoe's payments, house repairs." "Elise, my niece, who barely knew my name?" My jaw dropped. "You want me to give up half my salary for a niece who doesn't even say hello?" Miriam's smile never faltered. "You've benefited from this family," she said. "Sunday dinners, vacations, the network. This is your way of giving back. Think of it as a family tithe." Tessa touched my leg, as if to anchor me. "We've done the math," she whispered. "It's not as bad as it sounds. You'll still have what you need." I chuckled, too loud for the silence. "You did the math?" I said. "Without me?" I leaned back, my eyes narrowing. "No need to be theatrical," Miriam offered. "You're one of us, and being part of us means support." Gavin pretended to care. Milo pretended to contribute. Frank pretended to understand finances. Tessa's fingers tightened on my leg. A quiet warning. "Don't push too hard," I cleared my throat. "You've planned this," I said, like a queen assembling her court. I looked at Miriam. "So you won't mind if I make the room still?" I paused. I ran my own figures. She blinked. "If everyone's contributing, show me last year's ledger. Gavin, Milo, Frank, you retired 7 years ago. Where's your share coming from?" I turned to Miriam. "And yours?" She stiffened. "This isn't about them, Jared," she said. "This is about you taking charge." Frank stood up abruptly. If I'm draining money into this family, I said, rising with him, I want to see everyone's receipts. Tessa whispered my name under her breath. This isn't a courtroom, she said, but it felt like an interrogation. I listened to everything. Then, I stepped back from the couch, looked around the room one last time. Milo grinned, like he'd gotten away with something. Gavin was back on his phone. Tessa looked worried, but not worried enough. I turned to the door. Where are you going? She asked, her voice cracking. I didn't answer. I didn't even look back at the house. My house. Well, it was still mine. She called after me, but I was already gone, and for the first time in years, the air on my face felt like liberation. He was the head of the household. I was the sheep. And Tessa was the last straw. She entered the living room one evening while I was wrapping up a presentation for a customer, something significant. It was a team member who said, "You've been really distant lately. You're not acting like a team player." And they meant it, no sarcasm, as though I hadn't paid the bills, as though I hadn't carried this squad on my back since day one. I had supported her erratic professional goals, paid for her insurance, smiled, even as her family bled us dry with their leeching behavior. I smiled, but not the kind that warms your face when you see something beautiful. No, this smile was surgical, controlled. Think of the kind of smile poker players flash when they realize they're about to win a hand they were never supposed to have. That kind. More than anything else I'd done. That smile made her take a small step back. I didn't answer her questions. I was simply exhausted. But the truth? I wasn't. For the first time in years, despite my fatigue, I realized that our marriage had never been about love. It had always been about what I could offer. And now, as her warmth waned along with the giving, I didn't need a fight to confirm my suspicion. I needed a plan, and I had one. The parasites grinned, but I knew better. My only rule, don't yell, don't slam doors. When planning an escape, ultimatums don't work. You move like smoke. Silently, purposefully. And that's exactly what I became in the days that followed. Calculated, undetectable. But only when I needed to be. I stopped justifying myself to people who had already decided I was a resource, not a person. When I realized love was being measured as a percentage of my income, it hit me.